I, 25F, am desperate for female friends. How do I go about making female friends as an adult, after lockdown has ended of course? As a kid I was never good at making friends. I was the weird kid. I had 2 friends the entirety of my childhood. Both were girls that were secretly weird but able to hide it well. They often had their own friendship groups full of normal girls. I'd then get tacked onto the side of these groups. I'd tag along but never really get involved. I was like the weird pet of the friendship group. I'd just sit there silent, enjoying being in the company of others with the understanding that if I spoke whatever I said would be too weird and I'd get left behind. As a teenager I had no friends until I hijacked my boyfriend's friendship group. There were 2 girls in there that were secretly weird but able to act normal. When the group broke down they sort of adopted me. But it was always a difficult friendship. They were close to each other and I was more of a third wheel. I think they were also too embarrassed of how weird I was. I found it so hard to fit in with them. I didn't like how they always had to drink to hang out as I didn't really drink. I also had really bad social problems and low self-esteem back then. We ended up going separate ways. In adulthood I've only ever been able to make male friends. I actually became really good at it. We had the same sense of humor and could always find common ground to talk on despite me having very feminine interests. I don't know why I can't make female friends. It's like they can smell the desperation on me. Or like they're just so put off by how socially awkward I am. Men tend to forgive my awkwardness. Many of my male friends have pointed out how socially awkward I am but said it's okay with them. I find I get too nervous and go really shy. I'm scared of getting hurt. And sometimes I swing wildly between shy to talking way too much to fill any awkward silence. I've come close a few times to making female friends but it falls apart at being acquaintances. I can't tell if I'm coming off as clingy or cold. I've heard both. One girl broke off a new friendship once she discovered just how weird I was. Or at least that's my theory. Once I started talking about my hobbies, interests, thoughts on things, she fled as fast as possible. She kept saying I was weird and didn't have a life. I live with my parents and am trying to get back into education. I have very little money. I don't go out drinking ever because I don't really like alcohol or nightlife. I like to get coffee during the day. I just don't know how to go about it. My interests are strange but not nerdy, so even when I try make friends with nerdy girls there is little common ground. I live on a remote area so there are people here but no clubs or groups. If I had money I could afford to travel to the nearby cities and join clubs there. But then I don't think there are any clubs for what I'm interested in. I'm disabled and was thinking of getting into a sport for disabled people. But then money is still a problem. I'm trying to find a job. I think my current plan is after the pandemic to Facebook message all my female acquaintances separately to meet up for coffee and see if any are up for it. There are 2 that I think might be up for it. Both are family friends and both are themselves struggling to find female friends, as one is very into fashion gym and my area isn't exactly full of similar people. The other is alternative. I am just worried about being socially awkward and having no common ground. I can't even feign interest on things I'm not interested in. I like history and fashion a lot, as well as a few other things here and there. My sense of humor always seems to be mismatched with other women. I do have 2 female friends but one lives a 2-hour walk away and I can't drive yet, neither can she. She has a disability which means she will never be able to drive or ride a bike. I rarely get to see her because the only way to walk to and from hers is via a very dangerous area, so we very rarely have the nerve to risk it. The other lives at the other side of the country. We've only ever had on conversation in person. And she's a very new friend, known her a long time but have become close recently. I'm bisexual and I'm so scared that will ruin any friendships as well. I develop crushes very easily and often in the process of getting to know someone I will develop a crush only to have to wait for it to pass. This happens 99% of the time with people in my age group. I've had several girls break things off after finding out I'm bi. I do currently have a boyfriend but I can't help getting crushes. He knows and finds it hilarious, and they make me even more awkward, and I'm scared that if my crush is discovered I'll be abandoned by potential friends. I was making friends with one woman but she was gay and we both had crushes on each other, so decided that with me having a boyfriend it was best if we didn't carry on in case anyone got upset or confused. That was just before the pandemic and it really hurt because I really liked her and she lives on my street. Is there any advice anyone can give me? You keep saying you are really weird and have weird hobbies, can you elaborate? I think you are just worried too much and stop saying you're weird in a bad way, weird is fun. This is me almost exactly. Have you considered you might have Asperger's? Other people with Asperger's wouldn't mind social awkwardness. The only issue would be specific interests not lining up, but it's a start. I can't even feign interest on things I'm not interested in. That's what stood out to me. If you're not willing to get a tiny bit out of your comfort zone and take interest in other people's centers of interest or hobbies, why would you expect them to stick around? We all like weird shit. That's usually not an issue. The problem is when the only thing you're willing to talk about is your weird shit. That gets old real quick. Be curious and kind and authentic. Thinking you are weird is making you live up to that assumption. Everyone is weird in their own special weird way. That does not ostracize you or make you different, you just think it does and then you act on that projection. Rather than chase friends, welcome people into your life. Switch your narrative. And if you want some simple pointers, ask people questions and be genuinely into their answers, make baked goods and bring them hangouts and stop thinking you're weird. Maybe you could work on social skills with a therapist. I don't know what your personality is like when I say this, but I have worked with autistic spectrum children and I see that they actually annoy others by talking excessively about themselves or their interests and don't notice when the person they talk to is bored. Noticing is a skill that can be learned. Hey, 20-year-old bisexual woman here, also a little weird, haha. I don't have any female friends and barely any male friends. I know how it feels, and overthinking interactions can make things feel so much worse. Maybe it would be an idea to make a WhatsApp group with women on here in the same position. Think that might be fun. Your key sentence is, I can't feign interest in things I'm not interested in. You need to learn this skill. You don't have to adopt their hobbies or copy them or love everything they do, but a key crucial part of the social contract is friends take the rough with the smooth, they support each other's interests even if it's not for them. I have really good friends who enjoy stuff I'm not interested in and vice versa, but we still talk about it and I listen and show interest if she's achieved something within her hobby or wants to talk to me about it. It's important, it's not lying or being false, it's embracing the whole of your friend. Let's be friends. IMF 21. But PLS, don't be too surprised if I have a beard and a dick when we meet. Your experience sounds almost the exact same as mine. Turns out I'm autistic. I can make girlfriends only online because in person they realize how odd I am in person. Growing up I was always excluded by them, however. What exactly do you mean as weird? And are you clingy, desperate, crush easily with male friends? What kind of things are you into? And have you thought of maybe trying to pick up a more common hobby? Like video games? Not saying you need to, but maybe that can be your in to making friends until you find something else you both have in common. I'll identify as a female for you. We can talk about guys, have pillow fights, etc., all the things human females do. This reeks of, I'm not like other girls, and all the stupid two types of women BS. Snapping out of it will help you loads. We are all different, with different interests, personalities and experiences. And the peer pressure changes after high school as your circles open and you're not being fit, or not, in one of those two boxes. The best way to make any friends is through shared interests and being proactive. Can you please state, location? What disability? What hobbies? What interests? I don't see that anyone has mentioned it yet, so in case it is helpful you should read. There are plenty of books out there that will help you out and break down what people like in other people. Ones like How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, sounds a little sociopathic but really can be used for genuine benefits. I think anything on self-improvement, psychology, body language will be of use actually. I think making true friends who accept you for who you are has a simple, yet terrifying, formula: be yourself. You'll find that you don't click with a lot of people, but if you refuse to give up, eventually you'll find a friend. And then eventually after that you'll find another. You just have to keep trying and keep being your authentic self. Bumble BFF if it's in your area. It's hit or miss, but can be fun. I'd also really encourage you to listen to some Brené Brown podcasts, or read some of her books. It sounds like you carry a lot of shame, which is likely holding you back. It held me back for years, and man does it feel good to be on the other side. You're so worthy of friendship and of liking yourself. I'd also consider exploring why your boyfriend finds your crushes hilarious as that sounds, potentially biphobic and pretty toxic. I think your obsession with being weird, people secretly being weird, may be getting in the way here. Your focus on, they can hide being weird, probably alienates people. Try to learn to listen and give and take in conversation. Don't just info dump your hobbies and interests, but listen to what other people have to say as well. Let me drop a universal truth on you. We are all weird. Sure, it's in varying degrees, but we are all weird. You just need to find your tribe of similarly weird individuals, but know that even their weird will be different from your weird. And that's a good thing. I honestly thought I was reading something written by myself for a second there. I'll be 25 in December, just had a baby. Moved 45 minutes away from home. I had a lot of female friends up until recently. For the past year and a half I've just had one male friend. Any females I talk to I haven't seen in months, and we never hang outside of work. So I guess those are just female work buddies. Every single female friend I've had has stabbed me in the back with the exception of a few. I don't have female friends by choice now, and because I'm always at home with the baby alone due to COVID. I don't want to be close friends with any of my boyfriend's friends' girlfriends because I don't want things to be weird if the two break up. That's happened before and it was a mess. There's like 7 or 8 or maybe even 9 billion people in the world. I am sure you're great, and there are plenty of people even weirder than you. Just try talking to people. This TED Talk is great. You say you're weird, so am I, by the way. The trick is to find other people who are just as weird as you. I know you're struggling with that at the moment, but why not for now just find some online? You didn't say exactly what your hobbies are, but I bet there's a Facebook group or forum where can people with similar interests and go from there. I highly suggest you get a Twitter and join communities on there with your interests. I had a Twitter for a few months and never used it. Then I found a pretty nice community with people that play the same video game as me, and I've met a ton of really awesome friends all over the country. We talk all the time and they're all so different than girls I meet in real life. There's nothing wrong with the girls I know IRL, but I was having a similar problem where I couldn't find anyone that shared the same interests as me. I promise they're out there, you just have to go looking. Also, I'm 23F and I would love to be your friend. Yes, it's hard. I've always made friends in the church, but now I've mostly left. I've had to branch out. I use the Meetup app to do shared hobbies like hiking, kayaking and mountain bike riding, and it introduced me to a lot of like-minded people and a couple became friends. Also, I'm in a couple of Facebook groups for things like snorkeling, ladies surfing, stand-up paddle boarding, and people create events, which I use to do the fun thing but also meet people and see if any click. I've also found inviting ladies in the neighborhood over for an evening glass of one at a time, a good way to make friends and friendly acquaintances. I noticed you post in B-Stars. Do you like anime and manga? Once COVID goes away, cons are great places to make friends with people in the same area. 2 of my best friends I met at an anime convention. A lot of clubs centered around hobbies have moved online. Usually if you type in keywords like, whatever the name of your hobby is, and club, usually will get you something. I know there's a bunch of online book clubs if you like reading. We don't know all your hobbies, so we can't really say, but that would be your best bet if you live in a rural area like that. Another possibility is Googling whatever the name of your county is and then community center. Many places will usually have online events centered around them. Also, you may want to look into events that your library is hosting online if it's open. Step 1. Take a step back, and stop telling yourself you are desperate. Random, but there is an academic intersection of history and fashion, be it textiles specifically or fashion eras. I don't know much about it, but in one of my women's history classes someone did a report on it and that was interesting. First advice I'd give is, you're not the only one who feels the way you. Unless someone has zero social anxiety, and even then others can relate. Especially right now while everyone has been out of practice, you're basically on even ground with everyone else assuming they've been following social distancing. Try not to focus on how weird you feel. Everyone has weird interests, they're just not all vocal about it or hide it extremely well. Do the things you enjoy, and you'll start to make friends. I know it sounds too simple, but that's really how it goes. Everyone is weird in their own way. I know you may feel to be particularly weird, but this is an illusion you're using to prevent yourself from going after what makes you happy. Break the isolating habits, embrace yourself, encourage yourself, and make friends. I think you could also try to use social media to your advantage. If you have a specific hobby that you're passionate about, it's not difficult to find friends online. There's a tendency to demonize social media these days, but if you genuinely try to make hobby-based relationships, you might be able to foster some online female friendships. Honestly, you sound fun. DM me if you want. I was about to comment asking if you were autistic, but then I saw you comment further down that you are. I would recommend joining some kind of autism support social group. I think you would fit in fairly well and be able to bond over shared struggles dealing with normies. Weird people are the best kind lol. I'm 25 and also desperate pensive face. Where are you from? I know the feeling so hard. I think I can offer some insight. DM me on Insta very Michael SL if you wanna chat more. I've heard about a bunch of my friends making some good girl groups in new places using Bumble BFF. I'm moving to a new town in 2 months and am planning to try it out, depending on how the pandemic is going. I have a theory that everyone thinks they're weird boring. It's really all about matching up your weird with someone else's weird so that you can be weird together. I like history, I can knit, and I can even try to be funny, although the funny is not guaranteed. As many have said, I would be happy to try to be your friend. I'll be your friend. Hand waving. If you consider making friends online, you could also try our pen pals. You could post there your specific likings and hopefully someone sees it who has similar interests. You say you can't feign interest in things you don't like, yet judge others for not liking your interests. Relationships are all giving and taking, not just taking. You also develop crushes for 99% people you meet. Crushes are fine, but are you suddenly acting on them? You might be pushing people away with these two things. Hey, your experience actually sounds very similar to mine as an autistic lesbian. I'm also very interested in fashion and looking for female friends lol HMU. Where in the world are you, if that isn't too forward to ask? I think most people are weird. Why are you any different? Bumble BFF. Join groups of your hobbies even if you don't meet them IRL, they still count as friends. If you aren't weird, then you're probably boring. Define weird, also what is normal to you. I've had luck on Bumble BFF, take some sifting of course like any online platform. Maybe try meeting men and women, and be open and honest about who you are and what you are looking for. Given your interests, maybe try a knitting group or a poetry group. I would imagine these are mostly online now though. I'm sure we are all waiting on this pandemic to be over soon so we can go back to normal life. This is me to AT girl haha, I'm extremely introverted, well it's gotten worse over the years. I used to have a lot of friends when I was younger, but they were all males. I've always made male friends easier as well. Being friends with females has always been hard with me. I feel like we usually have nothing in common. I suck at making friends too. I'm 23 and I also tend to become friends with guys over girls just because they understand my sarcasm better and tend to be less judgmental, low maintenance. I'm bad at texting back, and being consistent for lack of a better term, and I find that to be a big problem. One thing I learned though is most girls are desperate for more friends too but don't know how either. If you invite someone to eat after work, chances are they will be excited to do something. Anyways, message me and we can be friends. I spend a lot of time watching Netflix, Hulu, painting, drawing horribly, and I either talk too much or not at all, plus poor judgment of social cues. First you've got to stop saying you're weird. It might be them and not you. Or it may be everyone. If you feel weird about something, embrace it. We are all unique in some way. Love yourself. As an adult you've got to let things like that go and know that you will meet other people who you share interests with. I'm sure if you tell yourself how great you are instead of weird, you'll come out of that shell and make friends.